All right, so took a look at Russia, took a look at the United States. Let's head over to Canada when it comes to just restricting freedom of speech like no other. So if we move over to Canada, we're seeing another part of another piece of legislation that is filled with vagueness that leaves rights as punishable based on biased judgment calls. Bill C-63. And somebody is claiming it's like something out of a science fiction horror fantasy. It says Justin Trudeau is trying to pass Bill C, there we go, 63 in a law which would make it illegal to express hate on the internet. First, let's look up the word hate in the Oxford Dictionary to keep us somewhat in reality. Hate, intense or passionate dislike. Yes, that means if you really dislike something and they deem it hateful towards that thing or person, you now fall under this law and you can be punished for it. This is where we're at now. It says it gets even worse. The proposals contained in Bill C-63 are so bizarre and outrageous that most would dismiss them outright. Says Bob Metz of Just Right. Like something out of a science fiction horror fantasy, the bill allows the government to correct or convict, fine, and imprison, quote unquote, for life, people who have not committed any speech offense, but who may do so in the future. We're talking about pre-crime stuff. Again, you start tracking people's habits and putting them in an AI simulation, they can start tracking this stuff. This is why I talk about digital twins and social profiles so much. This is something that they've been working on for a very long time for these exact reasons. Yes, you would go to jail if there's a reasonable grounds to suspect you might leave a comment after a YouTube video about how much you dislike something or somebody. Hate is obviously a human emotion, says Ezra Levant. We all know that sometimes we feel love, sometimes we feel hate, sometimes we feel contempt and respect. That's normal human personality. And you could no more ban hate than you could pass the Love Each Other Act. I swear they've already been doing stuff like that. You cannot eradicate hate from the human heart, especially in the times that we live now, these end times. It's only going to increase as hearts continue to harden. The essence of this bill, C-63, is in turn feeding into that crime, and it's basically not even a thought crime. It's now feelings crime. This is where we start seeing some of the other bills that they've been putting in place when it comes to you can't say certain things around a transgender person. You have to be so many feet away. If you're in their space and you say something that they feel threatened by just based off their own feelings, then you could go to prison. They've been working on this for a while. Now, this is a broad spectrum for the internet. They're trying to make it so if you say something online, like, I don't know, marriage is between only a man and a woman and there's only two genders, that would be deemed hate to them. And if I was in Canada, they can put me in prison for that. This is how extreme that they're trying to take it. And it's all based on judgment calls. It's all based on feelings, which again, if you want to take this to the spiritual level, this is basically how everything has been going, whether it's church, government, or the mystery religion that surrounds it. It's all based on feelings and self. And it's been going this way for a very long time. Well, I feel this. I don't care what you feel. What is really going on? Well, I feel this. Do you feel that? Or do you think that? Or do you believe that? They're all different things. Which one is it? But they're just going off of feelings. And those change, well, as fast as most of their genders now. As sad as that is, that's just how it is. You just, oh, I feel this way now. Well, I feel that way. Well, at that moment in time, I felt the hatred coming off of them. So lock them up, judge. That's the direction that they're trying to go with this. And if it doesn't, that's not enough. If that's not enough, Human Rights Tribunal member who would hear cases if online harms bill passes once filed a hate speech complaint. So one of the people on the tribunal that would determine if it falls in line with the bill or not was somebody who actually filed a hate speech complaint. Bias, I'm telling you. A lawyer who once made a high-profile hate speech complaint against McLean's Magazine is a member of the tribunal that would rule on hate speech cases under a reinstated power in the government's online harms bill. Immigration lawyer Nassim, not even going to try to pronounce the last name, was appointed a part-time member of the Canadian Human Rights Tribunal by the government, serving for 5 years in 2021. She is one of the members who stands to hear cases under the Human Rights Act, as the Online Harms Bill C-63 reinstates a section of the Act on hate speech. The new bill would allow people to complain about hate speech online to the Canadian Human Rights Commission, raising fears of complaints flooding the body. In the commission, if the commission decides a case has merit, it would forward it to the tribunal, a quasi-judicial body, for a decision on whether a post must be removed and compensated. Granted, people found guilty of posting hate speech could have to pay victims up to $20,000 in compensation. Say goodbye to online churches in Canada. I'm just saying, say goodbye, because they're gone. They're gone, and it's going to be targeting. They're going to send people out to target these places. That's how it's going to go. Again, those who keep asking for persecution of the church in the West, it's coming. This is part of it. It's coming. Again, when it comes to vagueness, unspecified definitions, and outright biased judgment calls, we're seeing a rising uptick in these, just like we are with this bill here in Canada, but just like we saw with the TikTok bill, HR 7521. I just did a breakdown video on that as well. It's filled with so much vagueness, and all the decision granting power is given to one person. They can just block anything that they want to based on that. So everything is just judgment calls now by corrupt, evil people. This is just where we're at now.